I always think it's funny when the internet clowns an artist because they read the Spotify credits and there's like 10
Oh, there's like
writers.
15 people.
There's 15
Yeah.
people on a song and they're automatically assuming, especially in hip hop, right?
Right, right.
They automatically assume, oh, this dude's got 15 people in the studio writing his lyrics. I have debunked this, but obviously the internet's a wild place. And can you, for the record, just explain why that's not necessarily the case?
100%. So often, especially in hip hop and rap music, but across lots of different genres, you might have a sample beat part of a song, right? Obviously, right? Like
Yep.
sampling is a beautiful art form. It's something that we celebrate and encourage. But let's say I sample one of your records, and let's say you wrote that song with you and two other people, and I sample that record, and then I write my song with me and three other people. There's going to be 7 writers on the song because every songwriter of that record that got sampled now needs to be cut into the publishing of my song.
Right.
Right?
And they're all considered writers.
And they're all considered songwriters. And that's why sometimes you'll be like, oh, wow, like Nile Rodgers worked with Future on this. Well, not necessarily directly, but maybe it sampled a song that Nile Rodgers, wrote. And, you could have a record that samples multiple songs, and all of the songwriters from the original samples are now going to be listed as songwriters on this new song, plus anyone new that we brought into the mix. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there is like an army of ghostwriters. It doesn't necessarily mean that you raised some old songwriters from the dead and found a way to collaborate with them. It just means that most likely it's a sample, and part of publishing is making sure that all of the writers on the sample are fairly compensated, which, by the way, is another lesson about the power of publishing, right? Because it means that publishing can live on way past the original shelf life of the original song. If I write a song and someone samples it, and that sample becomes a mega hit, all of a sudden, I'm going to start getting checks.
Yeah.
Right? Likewise, covers are another huge example of this, right? If I make a song and then someone covers that song and the cover becomes, and we actually see this all the time, where you'll hear a number one record, like, I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Oh, well, this is sort of an example kind of recently, like Luke Combs did a cover of Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, right? And that cover went absolutely insane. A lot of people might not realize, oh, that song is 20, 30 years old. But here's the thing. The original songwriter of the song that's being covered is the one who gets the royalties from the cover. So
Must be nice.
Yeah, it's nice, right? And it's part of the understanding that songwriting, it's part of your legacy. Publishing is part of your legacy.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen to your music after you put it out into the world. And if you are properly collecting or publishing, then it means that if other people get inspired by that song and they cover it or they sample it, you're going to be making money on that song for a long, long, long time. Even after maybe your own individual record that you made is a little bit past the shelf life. So but in terms of like when you see 15 people, first off, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes,
all right? So let's also
agree.
normalize, like, it's also okay to collaborate with a bunch of people to make a record.
I think it should be more encouraged, for
So
sure.
First off, let's just say that, because it's beautiful to collaborate. Sometimes, when lots of people come together, they can make something incredible, and like that, I have no problem with that, for the record.
Same.
That said, a lot of the time, especially in dance and hip hop, like, it's probably just because of sample.
Yeah, I think the most recent example that I kind of debunked was Not Like Us. Super Smash by Kendrick.
100%.
DJ Mustard obviously sampled a record. I can't remember the name off top, but Ray Charles was one of the original writers on that. And people looked at the credits and they were like, yo, Kendrick had Ray Charles in the studio, like,
I hate
writing
to burst your
his
bubble.
lyrics.
Kendrick did not have Ray Charles in the studio.
Yeah. He's been dead for, 20 years?
But Ray Charles was there in spirit through his publishing.
Yes.
Right? Through his songwriting.
Still getting paid.
And that's a beautiful thing about publishing. That's a beautiful thing about songwriting, is that songs can live on in multiple forms, right? And again, that's why my message, people coming up, is understand the value of your songwriting, your publishing, and understand how to collect that money. It is so important.